All right, from the studio in Fairfax City, we're very grateful that Pascal Gabriel accepted the invitation to my show. Pascal, welcome to my humble podcast, my friend.
Hello, and good morning to you.
That's right, that's right. Early here, 3 o'clock. Let's go back, Pascal. Go back to the beginning. You're like, were you born like in a musical family? How old were
No,
you when you
uh,
began taking piano lesson, guitar lesson?
no, not at all. My parents were independent shopkeepers in a small town in Belgium. My dad was kind of had an interesting record collection. He had the great Western soundtracks, and so he had a lot of Ennio Morricone and stuff like that. He was really into that. He had quite a lot of Herb Alpert as well, which as a young kid, like 7 or 8, I quite liked. But they weren't really musical at all. I'm totally self-taught. When I grew up in Belgium, age 16, really 17, punk happened, and I had an older brother who was really into prog rock music and really complicated music, and when punk happened to me, it was like, whoa, this is great. I can do this. I listened to the first Ramones album and I thought, this is for me. I can do that. And I had a Saturday job in a supermarket stacking the shelves. And after a few months of working there, I had enough money to buy a guitar, and I bought my first Telecaster, Fender Telecaster, and formed a punk band. And then in 1980 I left Belgium to move to England when I was 20 and 21, and I moved to Belgium and to Britain, pardon me, to UK, to London, and yeah, started forming bands there, because I could see that in Belgium it wasn't really going to happen. It was very small and very hard to get ahead in music, in Belgium back then. So no, I'm not from a musical family at all. I picked it up. It was always a passion. It was always something that I wanted to do.
I got it. How difficult was at the beginning, the first year and second year in London? You moved with a little bit of money. You didn't know people.
No, I didn't
How,
know
how was
anyone. I
that?
didn't know anyone. I could hardly speak English then. I was like, "Hello, my name is Pascal. I come from Belgium."
That's it.
No, I didn't speak any English. I was very fortunate in that the very first people I met through forming a band were people who were at St. Martin's School of Art, which is a big school, was a big school of art, still is a big school of art, but it was in the center of London, right next to Soho. And with them, we kind of shared flats, we shared squats, we managed, I worked as a barman, I worked as a waiter, all with like young people do when they want to pursue their dream, so so I did that. Was in several art school band, let's say, with great friends that I'm still really good friends with. And what was really interesting for me was at that point where I arrived in London, it totally opened my eyes to everything. I mean, I came from a small, very bourgeois town in Belgium where everything was quite restrictive, to London in the early 80s, new romantic. People were wearing skirts and wearing makeup. And it was like, wow, this is great. You can do anything. You made me very free, which was wonderful. It was hard. Financially, it was very hard. As I said, we lived in squats and with roof leakings and no windows, but we had great fun. And then eventually I got a job as assistant in a small 8-track studio in Leighton, in East London, because I'd used that studio as a client to do some demos, and I said to the owner, I said, "Can I just hang out and make tea? I'll be for free, just to see how it works."
Yeah.
And I discovered the multi-track, and I discovered, I was a drummer then. I was a guitar player. I played a bit of guitar, bass, and drums, and on the last band I was in that era, I was a drummer, and I thought, wow, it has a TR-808, the first Roland TR-808, and it was like a mind-blowing experience. Like, whoa, I don't have to practice my drums. I can program this shit and just turn the knobs, and it's fantastic. So this is probably 1982, 83. And then at the studio did well. The guy gave me a job. I worked there in an 8-track for a while. It was a good setup. They had a big Trident desk, but only a small Tascam 8 track. But it was a big old professional desk, so it was good. It was good setup. And then I moved to another studio, which was 16 track 2-inch, which then got they had a really nice machine, but they only had a 16 track 2-inch head block, and they changed it to a 24 track, so it became a 24 track studio. And I worked there really to do my own demos at night as well, so I'd work with clients from 10 till midnight, then on my own stuff from midnight till 4, kept under the desk, and then woke up in the morning and say hello and start again. I was young, that's what you did.
Wow, good for you, man. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, when you are young, you do that kind of stuff, So get
Yeah,
older.
I mean, I was working 16, 17, 18 hours a day.
Right.
People don't
I
believe me when
remember
I say that now.
at the time, at the time when you're young, you're apprentice or recording studio, you are the tea man, right? You of course in London they drink tea, right? So you bring cup of tea to everybody in the recording studio, and then little by little, hey, you want to learn that? You want to learn that, and then hey, yeah, no problem, no problem. Right, and said that's you learn on the job, right? So
That's exactly what happened to me. I was, as I said, I worked in this 8-track studio for free, made tea, actually, drowned everyone in tea, gave them so much tea, they didn't want any more. And actually, interestingly, do you know this producer called Flood, who produced U2 and lots of other people?
I heard the name. I know of
Yeah.
him, but I don't.
Well, there were two. He started as an assistant as well, a bit earlier than me, in a different studio, in Trident studio. And the
Right.
story with him is there were two assistants. There was one called Drought and one called Flood. And Flood was called Flood because he made tea all the time. And
Yeah.
he became very successful producer. And Drought, nothing happened to him.
Yeah,
Because
my friend was at Trident as well. I forgot the name. He's now at Rear Wall with Peter Gabriel.
oh yeah, I've worked there. Yeah.
I forgot the name, but
Okay.
yeah, he was at Trident was a very famous studio at the time. Man.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, it was a good place. It was right
Yeah.
in Soho. I mean, at the time, there were a few studios in Soho. There was a Trident. There was Good Earth, which was Tony Visconti's studio. What was the other one in Greek Street? Can't remember the name of it. But over time, property prices went so high that all the studios in Soho pretty much closed. There's no real proper studios in Soho anymore. It's a shame. I used to love working there because you'd be in Soho, it's like the center of the world in London.
Of course.
And at the time, especially in the 80s, it was great.
Yeah, I got it. Good for you, man. Yeah. So you formed a duo with guitarist Danny Kustow, right? And with the band Tom Robinson at the time, right? Feel free
That's
to,
right. Yeah, really early 80s.
what memories will you have from that?
Oh, I love Danny. Danny was wonderful. He was so sad when he died. I'd lost touch with him by then, which is just real shame, to my shame, really. But he was a wonderful man. He was, again, as I explained, it was early 80s, and I was, a bit lost in London, and he kind of took me a bit under his wing. We formed a band together called Tintin 2. We did some demos in that 8-track studio I was telling you about. And he was a wonderful man. Nothing really happened with the demos, and we drifted apart over the following 20 years or so. But he was a great man, and a kind, wonderful guy, great guitar player, amazing guitar player. But nothing really happened to a project, sadly. So it was a shame.
Yeah, well, at the beginning, sometimes it's like that. So early in your career, you were doing remixes for artists such as Marc Almond for Soft Sail and Yello, right?
Yeah, I did Yello, Debbie Harry. That was after I had my first hits. My first hits were the very first hit was Bomb the Bass, Beat This, which was number 2 in UK. That was a big hit back in 1988. I had a really great year. Bomb the Bass first single came out. It went straight in at number 2. It was the highest entry by an unknown act. It was in the Guinness Book of Records at the time. It was like, wow, this is cool. This is a good start. And I produced and covered the album with Tim Simonon. Then we did on the same label, Rhythm King Records. I did the first single from S Express, which was Theme from S Express, and the second single called Superfly Guy, which also came out in '88. I had number 1 with Theme from S Express. and then of course the remixes poured in, you know, because all the record companies that didn't embrace dance music decided actually it was a good idea to embrace dance music, and Pascal would be the guy to do the remix. So I did loads of remixes. I did Marc Almond, Yello, Debbie Harry, The Creatures with Susie from the Banshees, uh, Brian
Wow.
Ferry, loads of them. Yeah, I mean dozens of them, literally. Over
Man, that between 83 and 88, your life changed forever because you were the go-to guy to do all remix. Everybody was, after you have a number one, number two, everybody want to work with you, you know?
Of course, yeah. I mean, it was weird, really, because I mean, it was, you know, the thing is, dance music hadn't really properly exploded. You know, the electronic music that I was doing with Mark and Tim. Tim was like breakbeat, really, and Mark was house, you know, or what would become techno eventually. I remember going to the record companies both times, actually, with both releases, with the white labels, and say, "Oh, check this! You know, I've produced this and I co-wrote this," and they'd play it. You know, the big labels. They'd listen to it and go, "Well, you know, it'll be good in the clubs, but it'll never be a hit." You know, and about 2 months later, they say, "Pascal, by the way, we did say it would be a hit, didn't we? Would you like to remix X, Y, Z or whatever?"
That's,
You know,
that's right.
yeah, okay, good, yeah,
But my price went up.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was great. It was a really good moment. Yeah, it was a good
Good for
moment.
you.
And then after that, came the early '90s, and by that time, I'd done lots of remixes, and I was very computer based already. I had
Yeah.
banks of samplers and very computer based producer, I guess, and writer. Uh, I um, I decided I wanted to not look at the screen so much, and I wanted to produce rock bands. You know, proper performing, 4 guys in a room, 5 guys in a room playing together, um, as a change, really, as a kind of way of keeping my my skills sharp. You know, otherwise you get. I just got bored of looking at the screen. You know, basically, um,
Sure.
and so I produced a lot of indie bands. I did EMF, his first album, 2 albums with the Inspiral Carpets from Manchester. I mean, EMF's first album was number one. Um, 2 albums with the Inspiral Carpets, an album with Chapter House, an album with Family Cat, an album with Kitchen's Distinction, the Dylans, lots of guitar bands. And it was
Yeah.
interesting for me from a structured electronic producer, if you like, when I was working with samplers and synthesizers, to suddenly work with real guys, and I had to kind of go, okay, this the tempo of this song should be a bit up, and so we'd work with metronome and more classic sort of, organic sort of thing, and so my involvement was really the production and the kind of structure of the songs. So, for instance, when I worked with the Inspirals in the first rehearsal we did, I demanded to have a blackboard, some chalk, and a drumstick, and I had all the. So we'd work on a song A, and we'd have the chord structure of the song on the blackboard with verse, bridge, chorus, middle eights, and the chords next to them. And as they kind of went through the song, I'd kind of with my drumstick go, "No, this is just too long. Play this." And then go, "Oh fuck, he wants to go to the bridge already. Oh damn, you know." And so we'd kind of rehearse the songs. But if you pardon my language, we rehearsed the hell of the song, out of the song, to make them
Right.
so tight that when they were in the studio, they could really relax and perform and flow with it. And that worked very well. Yeah, we had a lot of hits for them. Yeah.
Gotcha. Good for you, man. Good for you. And then I will go kind of chronological order and touch a couple of things. So your first release, you say the 2 track on the touch cassette, T2 Meridian, along the future collaborator Simon Fisher at the time, right? So
Now Simon Fisher Turner. That was my first release in UK.
good
Yeah.
for you, man. Yeah.
Yeah. That
How
was
you
in
did?
1980, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. You did okay financially at the time where you were picking up, and at
Well,
the time people were buying record and before CDs, and you get airplay, so you were doing okay financially as well, right?
which
Or
time are you talking
no, in
about?
general, in the 80s, right?
In the early 80s, no. In the early 80s, I was super poor, but I had some. I eventually got paid from as a sound engineer and a studio guy.
I see. I
Then
see.
I became a then with S Express and Bomb the Bass, when I had my hits, then yes, because I co-wrote those as well, so I had royalties
Yeah.
on it, you know. Um,
Yeah.
and as a producer, I got royalties. I started having royalties coming in as well. So by the mid 90s, things were okay, you know. But the thing, what happened really in the mid 90s, what really happened is that I just wanted to get back to writing, and I'd been producing pretty much since '88. Apart from the few things I'd done with S Express and the first Bomb the Bass album, which I co-wrote both, I basically produced, you know, bands. So a lot of the rock bands I produced, and a lot of the artists like EMF that I produced, they were just production. It wasn't writing, and I was really missing. I was missing being the co-writer. You know, I was missing coming up with the bass line and the structure and the chord progression, all that stuff. And I thought, I'm really going to get back to writing, to songwriting, to the nuts and bolts, to the really base of music. And so that's what I started doing. I signed a publishing deal in '95 with Warner Chappell Music, who were really supportive at the time. And then I started co-writing, and one of the first things I co-wrote was Here With Me with Dido, which was on her first album, which came out in '97, '98, a couple of years later. And I did 5 songs with Dido, which 2 of them were on the album, and another one was on a limited edition album. But that album went on from selling. Originally, I think it was just under 1 million copies. Then Eminem sampled her, not my song, unfortunately, another song from that album. And the album went from 1 million to 16, 18 million copies. And he was like, fuck, it's like, this is like Michael Jackson territory. It's like really big, you know. So that was wonderful. That opened a lot of doors co-writing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You know?
If they have sampled your track, you wouldn't be here. You will be in a...
I'd have even more gear.
I will have more gear.
I got enough. But
what memory do you have from Dido? She's a very nice lady.
She's amazing. Yeah, brilliant, lovely, really lovely. It's funny because when, you know, again, a lot of the people I work with, I work with them early days. You know, for many reasons, it's rare that they come back to me and they work. They usually then the big boys go in, you know, the bigger boys than me go in and do the work. But with Dido, she was still working as a secretary in a book publishers when I worked with her. She was kind of singing part-time backing vocals with her brother's band called Faithless. But she was the publisher. My music publisher said, well, you should work with Rollo's sister Dido, she might be all right, you know. And she'd done some demos with her brother, and they weren't great really. They were a bit I hate to say it, but coffee table house music, you know, like polite house music, not my sort of thing. Anyway, I didn't quite understand it, but she had a fantastic voice, you know. Clearly she was an amazing singer, you know. And so we discussed it, and I suggested that maybe she should do like something more like Twin Peaks, you know, like something like Halftime, you know, 80 BPMs, 90 maybe, a bit more trip hoppy, and a bit more that leaves a bit more room for her to soar, you know.
That's right, yeah.
And the rest, as they say, is history, you know.
Absolutely. What memory do you have for working with Claudia Bruggen from Propaganda?
She was great. Yeah, Claudia was a good friend. I worked with her in the 90s, early 90s, 1990, 91. I did half a dozen tracks, I think, for her solo album. I did Kiss Like Ether, Absolute, Surprise. Surprise was great. I just remember that. Yeah, Surprise was great. It was the last track on the album. She was lovely, Claudia, really great. We're still in touch. I haven't seen her for a few years, but we're still in touch through the medium of the internet.
She released a new album last week.
I saw that. Yeah, I'll need to hear it. I've not listened to it yet.
It's very good, actually.
Yeah, great. We did this track called Surprise, which was wonderful, actually. Really wonderful track. It's the last track on the album. And again, it was a similar thing to Dido in a way, in that the track was double tempo, and I said, nah, it really needs to be slow. This needs to be really like, you took me by surprise. It needs to be a bit more chilled, you know. And it's wonderful. We used a lot of samples from an avant-garde experimental group from London called the Beau Gamelan Ensemble, and they're the kind of guy who have like things like give you an instance, they go a bathtub this way and a bathtub this way, and then they drop them down against each other. And that's one of their snares, that sort
I
of
see. I see. Yeah.
so lots of industrial sounds. And we got them to come for an afternoon in Mayfair Studio in Primrose Hill where we were working. Recorded all the samples of all their stuff, and they're all over that track, all over Surprise. It's really great. It's one of my favorite production ever. The least successful probably, but for me, the most successful.
I got you. What memory you have working with Debbie Harry?
Oh, Deborah Harry, as she was known then. She was no longer Debbie. There was a period where she was Deborah. I met her at a record company in West London somewhere. It was a remix. We talked about the remix. She was super nice. I mean, I was a fan, such a fan, when I was like 17, 18, the first Blondie album was like, wow, and then to find myself 10, maybe 12 years later, meeting my idol of late teenage was like, wow, I'm going to meet Debbie Harry today. It's so exciting. I was very nervous probably, but it was fine. It was a really nice meeting. She had a little dog with her. And we talked about her partner Chris, who was then really unwell, and she talked about that. And she's lovely, yeah, brilliant, yeah, lovely person. She really liked the mix. Yeah, it was good. Yeah. But
Yeah,
it was
for
me, it was like, whoa, I met her. It's like when I met Brian Ferry, it was the same thing. I did a remix for him about the same time. And he was like, I used to love Roxy music, Brian Ferry's solo career, everything, And suddenly he's like, oh, he's asking me to do a remix. It's like, whoa, And it was quite funny actually, because it being Brian Ferry remix, because usually you do a remix in 2 days. So the first day you set it up and you do the mix, and the second day you present it to the artist and you do the last tweaks, And so the second day he turned up, but before he turned up, I got changed into like smart gear because I thought, wow, if Brian Ferry's coming, I want to look in my like crusty old T-shirt that I've been sweating in all day in the studio. And actually, he came out in like farm gear because he just come from his farm he had a farm near Brighton. He had like torn jumper and like old dirty jeans and was looking a bit. He was not looking like the normal Brian Ferry you see in the pictures. And I thought, oh, I was expecting him to turn up in a suit and look really like.
Right, with a tie and everything.
But he didn't. But he was lovely. He really liked the mix. Yeah, he was really cool. Really nice guy.
Roxy Music, what a great band that was.
I know, brilliant, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in touch with a couple of people with them. I'm very good friend with Phil Manzanera as well.
Oh, fantastic!
I'm going to be seeing him next week. I'm on Thursday morning. We're getting breakfast and.
Wow! Well, great. Wow. Yeah, you can tell him you interviewed a big fan.
I will, man. Did you work with Brian Eno at all?
No, never. He's always been a big fan. I've always been a big fan of him, and since really my mid-teenage, from like Before and After Science, the stuff he did with No Pussyfooting, with Fripp, I've always loved his work. Roxy Music, obviously, and all the stuff he's done since then. I mean, yeah, I'm a big fan, but I've never met him. Never met him.
You gotta work with the guy. I have a very good opinion of him. I really like. I like so much music, Pascal. I'm jazz, rock, electronic music. I depending on the day, depending on the week,
depending on your mood, of course.
And he's a very humble and very quiet guy. You wouldn't, if you see him down the street, he wouldn't tell you who he is. And so.
Did you interview him as well?
No, I wish. Yeah, I'm trying. It's some people are very hard to get a hold of because the musician itself will give me an interview because I'm trying to do something good in society by promoting their career, right? But there are many layers, right?
Yeah.
Like Brian Ferry, I would need to ask, Phil for a favor to put me in touch with him or David Gilmour because they're, at the level the people are well connected.
Yeah.
But I'm not there yet, so no.
I suppose you have to go past the layer of their advisors, managers, and so on as well.
Yeah, which is very hard, right?
With this, it was quite easy. It's like the record company said, "Oh, this guy who contacted you on Bandcamp wants to interview you," and I looked it up. I looked at your website. For yeah, sure, yeah, great.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Real pleasure. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. What memory you have from Susie Sue as well? His
Oh, that was
second
cool.
integration.
Yeah, that was cool. I did the remix for The Creatures. Again, it's been early 91, maybe 1990, 91. I can't remember the name of the track. And it was her and Budgie, the drummer. Great, really nice people. She came to the studio. I think I was mixing that in Mayfair, in the big Mayfair in Primrose Hill. Yeah, really nice people, nice couple. There was still a couple then. Great. They really like the mix. And I love The Creatures. I mean, I always love Susie. Again, from like age 18, the first Susie and the Banshees album. And then found myself 12 years later, or 13 years later, maybe, remixing, Susie and meeting her in person and everything. And then she said, "Oh yeah, and we're going to." She said, "I do remember that." She said, there was a vegetarian restaurant around the corner." And she said, "Yeah, we're going to this veggie restaurant with the big log." And I went, "Who is the big log?" And it was Robert Plant. It's like, okay, so you're meeting Robert Plant for dinner? Whoa, can I come? But I couldn't because I was mixing.
Oh man.
I would have loved that, I mean, again, I'm a big, huge Led Zepp fan, so I would have loved to be there over dinner and say, "Do you like the salad, Robert?"
Sure. Do you look back, Pascal, every so often and look, man, I was a T guy, and then I worked with Brian Ferry, I don't know, Claudia Brukin, Dido, this and that and that and that and that. It's like you're dreaming. It's like you live in. It's like a dream, man. That you don't want to wake up, right?
Yeah, well, it's work, it's like, it's what I do. I mean, I've been doing it 40 something years, I know what you mean. I mean, I'm very lucky. I'm just very lucky to be able to make a living out of it. I mean, it's very difficult yeah, I mean, of course, I consider myself super lucky. I mean, it's wonderful. It's really great. No, I've never had regrets. I know some people in my situation who think, "Oh, I could have worked with him or her and him and her." So, look, you've worked with X, Y, Z. What, you can't have the whole alphabet. It's kind of, be happy with what you get. And be happy that you can make a living out of it. I mean, there's so many younger people that I work with, artists that I work with, they say, is it more difficult now? Is it easier? What's the difference? And I say, well, in my days, you wanted to make a record, you had to manufacture the record, have a proper sleeve, you had to take it in the back of your car, distribute it to all the record shops. It was a really physical thing. So you needed money, you needed to hire a studio, which was expensive, you need to do all that stuff. Now you can do it all on a broken computer, put it online, and everyone can hear it instantly. The main difference is that there were maybe hundreds of thousands of people doing it then, and now there's billions of people doing it. So to stand away from the crowd, you need to be really, really hardworking and really, really original. That's it. But I think it's always been a struggle, isn't it, for musicians? It's never been easy, for people on the creative side. They've always struggled, So I'm very, very, very content that I've managed to, through my struggle, to make a living and have gear, and still now being able to indulge in Stubble Man and things that I really love. That maybe I won't make any money from it, but I can afford to do it because I've got royalties coming from past work. So that allows me to be completely free, and that's been like that for a number of years now. But I count myself so lucky, so fortunate. Yeah, totally.
Right. When you produce a record with any artist, Johnny, and then you get paid a base amount, and you have a percentage of royalty, and if the
Yeah.
album does well, then
Yeah,
money
exactly.
coming down the
On
road for you.
productions,
A
yeah,
percentage, right?
productions you get production and remixes and mixes is the same thing. You get a small cash advance, if you like,
Yeah.
recoupable against a percentage of future sales.
Yeah.
As a songwriter, you don't. As a songwriter, I've written probably over 500 songs over the years, and probably 50 make money. The other 450 either
Doesn't happen.
went released or or when they weren't released, or they were released and didn't do very well. They were, the artist didn't like it, whatever, and so you can spend 2 weeks sometimes with an artist, writing 5 songs, 5 songs probably in a couple of weeks, and record company don't like it, drops the artist. That's it. You've spent 2 weeks for nothing. That's
Wow.
It's very speculative. Songwriting is much more speculative. But that's just the way it is. You don't get paid for co-writes at all.
Yeah.
And I suppose the advantage I had, and I still have to a degree, is that as a co-writer, because I'm an ex-producer as well, or I produce as well, so I know how to make a demo sound good. I would say 95% of the time, if the record gets cut, the record company said, well, the demo sounds like a record, finish it off, So then I end up producing the things I co-write, which is then I get a little bit money up front as a producer.
Right.
So
Any,
that's kind
of what memory, what the best recording studio, the first period that you have worked, that you said, man, if I die tonight, I will be very happy because I work with, I don't know, Abbey Road or Real
mostly
World.
in the studio, the actual building you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, Christ.
Anyone in particular you say, man?
Well, I'd say there's several. I mean, I loved Real World. That was great.
Yeah.
The big room was just a bit too big, I think. I actually liked the little side room.
That's right. Yeah.
On the side of the big room better. And I also liked the room in the garden that had the room that had a turf roof. I quite like that room as well. The big room is cool, and it's very impressive, but it's just like a cathedral. It's too big.
That's right.
I wasn't. But the atmosphere, the vibe, the residential house was great. Really liked working there. Mayfair was good, actually. Mayfair Muse, particularly the little studio in the end of the Muse in Primrose Hill, was lovely. Very private, really great gear. The guy who owned the studio, what was his name? To come back, John Hudson. He was a sound engineer himself and a mixing engineer, and so he customized all the SSL desks with a thicker rest arm thing, so it was a bit more cushioned. It was maintained and meticulously, because he was an engineer himself, so everything was set from a really good perspective from the person at the desk. I really liked working there. John Hudson and Kate, his wife, was the manager. That's right. Yeah, a good studio, really good studio there. Really liked working there.
Yeah.
Abbey Road I worked in as well. Room 2 is great for recording strings. Studio 1 is just a bit too big. Again, I mean, Studio 1, you go in there in the live room, you can have 15 grand pianos and it's not even half full. It's huge.
That's right. Yeah.
It's great for orchestra. And Studio 2 is good for smaller section, smaller string section. I worked in both. Loads more. Olympic, I never worked in Olympic, but I heard really good things about Olympic, but it was too far. It was South London, and I was based in northeast London, so I tended to go studios near me.
Around that area. Yeah. I don't know if you ever worked with that Air Studios or the British Groove.
Which one?
Air Studios.
Oh, Air. No. I worked in Strong Room as well, actually. I forgot to mention. I must mention Strong Room because I had a programming room in Strong Room for 2 years and then 8 years, so 10 years altogether. And I really liked Strong Room. Yeah, really great studio. Studio 1 and Studio 2 and Studio 3, actually. All three are great. Really brilliant people. Richard Booth, the owner, is a great guy. Again, music background. Really well-maintained studio, really great, really friendly. When I had a programming room there of my own for 10 years and used the studio to finish mixes off. And whenever I had a thing not working in my studio, tech guys would come. It was really great environment. Really recommend. I still have a few friends that have programming rooms there. Yeah.
Good for you, man. Man, you have been everywhere, man. Good for you, man.
Well, I had
you have collaborated.
Been doing it a long time. you know.
Yeah, but you are very humble too, so I
I'm a
like
bit
that about
like
you.
a taxi driver, you know. I know every street in London.
That's right. And you get paid at the same time. Good for you, man. You collaborated extensively with Miss Keating, and of course,
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. What memory do you have working with her and so?
Today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, I've done loads of stuff with her. I've done her second solo album, where mixed the third one. I did the second Kitten and Hacker mixes
Yeah.
and other bits and pieces. I can't remember exactly what. And we're writing together at the moment. Actually, she just arrived yesterday. Yeah, yeah. She's
Well,
brilliant. She's become a very good friend.
good for you. Dot Allison, also you have worked
Yeah,
with her.
Dot. I'm still very good friends with Dot and her husband Christian. She's great. Dot. I worked with her just after I think she'd split with One Dove. Must have been late 90s, 97, 98. Did one track with her, and then I think we did another track together, just her and I, which ended up being an acoustic track on her third or fourth solo album. And I had a place in Shacklewell Lane in London, in Dalston, for a long time. And I rented her a space in there. It was like my house, and I had my programming room in it. But it was a little building in the middle of the courtyard that she rented as well to have her studio in. So we became really good friends over time. Yeah, I'm still in touch with her and not working with her at the moment, but she's
Yeah.
great. She's brilliant. She's got fantastic view, voice and view on aesthetics on her music. She's brilliant. Yeah.
Totally. Is it nowadays, with all the experience and everything you have done, Pascal, is it easier? No, easy, but easier to get new work? Do it still a lot of people try to connect you? They want to work with you, and then how you manage, the time,
It's the
or still
same,
you need to go
really.
after?
I think it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? I mean, you have a double-edged sword of being experienced, but also being older. So it's different, really. I mean, to be honest, my manager used to kind of get really pissed off with me, and she still gets really pissed off with me because she says, "Oh, do you want to work with ABC or XYZ?" And I go, "No, just tell them I'm busy," because I've got other things to do, or I'm on holiday with my family, or I'm much less desperate for work than I used to be.
Yeah.
Not that I ever was desperate, but much less willing to, you know, to. It has to be great. It has to really convince me that I can contribute to it. B, they're going to last the course and not think, oh, I'm just a model doing a record, and it's you know what I mean. It's like it has to be.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It has to be worthwhile, basically. So that makes it more challenging to find, because what I find is that a lot of the things that I get offered are just a bit mainstream and a bit not unoriginal or unopen to originality, so and I can understand it, if you're a young artist now and you're working as a barman or a bar person to make ends meet in London, you're going to want to make money quickly. You're going to want to sell out, if you like. And unfortunately, it seems to me that often they think that the best way to make a success is to copy what's already successful. And in my experience, it's the opposite. You copy what's successful, you're going to be too late because it's already there. It's already successful. What you have to do is think what could be next, and what does your heart tell you to not sound like that, but that will be interesting as well and be radio friendly, maybe. Do you know what I mean? So it's people are sometimes afraid of originality, and I think that's really sad. I think it's really. Maybe it's because I'm known as a pop guy. I get offered a lot of pop stuff, and I find that in that world, it's often unoriginal. The demos that get proposed anyway often are just a bit too. I'm not enthusiastic about them.
I got it. Okay.
So it's not. I don't think it's harder. I think I've become a bit more choosy.
I got it. You mentioned trends and being an original, right? If your son or your daughter were to ask you, this is the base of my track, what would you recommend? Can you perceive what is coming? So you tell
Oh, I
your
see.
son, your daughter, okay, I like your idea, but don't sound like I don't know, like Kate Bush. Everybody want to sound like Kate Bush, but be your own, be original, change what you're doing into something different. So,
I
but
think that you get really only by working together in the studio and seeing how it goes. I mean, what I often do with artists I do want to work with, we meet for a cup of tea. I call it the cup of tea stage. So with a cup
okay,
of tea, 2 hours, I play music that I think is really vibing me at the moment. That maybe would be relevant to him or her, and vice versa. They play me stuff that they think, oh, I want to sound like him, maybe a bit more. I like that, or like, or how about this really weird stuff, and if the cup of tea goes well, then we do 2 days in the studio and we just mess around, literally, and there's no holds barred about ideas. We just go through whatever we want. It's
gotcha.
I think it's through happy accidents that I've created my most interesting and my most successful work. So I think going in and going, okay, I'm going to go this direction because this is what my manager or what I've decided is going to be successful for me. Is I can't do. Other people can do that. I can't do that. For me, it's kind of how I feel it. My compass, my only compass is my soul and my heart. And if it excites me, then I'm happy. That whether it's successful or not, there is so much that can't be controlled on the release to success, on the path to success. That I think the really important part of the journey is the journey. It's like creation journey. You start with nothing and you finish with a great piece. And at the end of the week, we're all in the studio going, yeah, this is fantastic. That's the joy. After that, I lose interest. and I think that's what the feeling should be at the end of a session. You should have gone, wow, this is great. This is really happening. Whether it's successful or not, that's out of your hands to a degree. Um,
As a producer, right, Pascal? When people, okay, you do the cup of coffee, then go to your studio in Provence for a couple of days. Okay,
yeah.
the artist happy, you're happy when you at the end of the day, man, that they work great. How they promote it? Why a particular record? It will make it, and then another one you work with a different artist don't make it. What's the magic behind? Okay, we have something great here. Okay, where we take it from point to, it used to be the day that people would send the record to the BBC and all the radio
Yeah.
station, and people would pay a little money. Hey man, help me out with this. Or we give you $500, whatever played every
Yeah.
Thursday at 10 p.m. That doesn't exist anymore. People and Spotify, there are millions of artists, right? It's hard to be known in Spotify, and in Bandcamp, well, yeah, you can sell CDs, vinyl, but somebody to know you, right? What's the process of having something great and something be successful?
I couldn't answer that question. I have no idea. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've produced and co-written some great tracks that have been complete flops, and I thought they would do really well. And I've produced and co-written some tracks that I thought, oh yeah, I'll probably be okay, and then they were number one. So I don't know. There's no formula. All I know is that I love them all. And the journey of creation was a real pleasurable one. The
Yeah.
rest, the rest is really out of my hands. I can't. Nobody can guarantee that. They always say they can, but they never do, because if they did, then there'll be a record company that just sells all the records and one that doesn't. There's no formula. There's no formula to what's successful. It's timing sometimes. Sometimes obviously exposure is important. Getting it out there so people hear about it. So promotion is important. But even with the most promotion in the world, you've had artists that have been signed for several million euros, several million pounds in UK, that were deemed to be the next big thing. The album sold 10,000 copies, and that was that. They had all the promotion in the
Uh,
world. They had top producers. They had, there's loads of them. I mean, you can. go back to history. I can't name any, but there's that none that I've worked with, of course. but you know, there's been the music business history is littered with that, and they were going to be the next big thing, and they had millions of pounds invested in them, and nothing happened. And yet you have people that record a thing in their bedroom, and somehow they've got their finger on the pulse, probably by accident, but they have a number one. You know, Bomb the Bass was like that. We were stopped by having a number one by Kylie Minogue's "I Should Be So Lucky." As I said, we were the highest new entry by an unknown artist. It was. I've never seen that before. The phones were literally off the hook in the record company. They ran out of records. They had to manufacture more. On the Monday, it was released on the Monday. By Tuesday, the phones were off the hook, and it was just crazy. You know, it was like, whoa, this is. And it was just me and Tim in the studio messing around with samples. You know, it was a great record. I love it. You know, we were trying to create something very different, but it's not. You couldn't predict it. There's no way you could predict it.
Yeah. Wow, man, you're very humble too, man. In 2018, like
Thank you.
6 years ago, you developed the solo project called Stubble Man. In a way to return to electronic and ambient roots and so forth. What was the motivation for you to create that? And because you have a lot of energy, Pascal, and you have I don't know. You want to keep on working for the next 20 years. I assume,
If I can
30, whatever. How
Yeah.
you divide? You say, man, I can continue working with these people. I can be a producer for other people. A lot of people trying to get a hold of me, but at the same time, I want to do my own thing. How you manage the time and what's the motivation when you say, well, okay, Monday I want to do something different because I want to take a week off with my family, go somewhere in Italy or whatever, and then your brain is always working in the background. It's always
Of course,
working.
yeah. Well, Stubble Man, the motivation really for Stubble Man was that it was long coming. You know, when I started making music in the early 80s, it was instrumental, experimental, electronic music. And somehow I became quite good at pop. So I did my whole career doing pop rock stuff. And I kind of thought, well, I'd really like to be able to basically be loose with all this stuff with a format that I've decided that is going to be the format for this album or whatever, and it's just me kind of messing around with my synths and my piano and just no barriers, because in pop, of course, you have certain structure. You have to be 3 minutes for a start. You have to be a catchy chorus or something that people can sing along, or there's verse, bridge, chorus, middle eight. There's a certain structure. Here I'm basically doing 9 minutes of just one riff, or two chords, and it was so refreshing. I just loved it. I started experimenting with it, with the idea back in 2019, and my wife and I did a road trip between the East Coast and the West Coast of the States. We drove all the way around. We took 2 months to drive, and everywhere we stopped, I had my little MacBook and a keyboard, and I recorded some ideas. And that first album was basically the sketches from that trip turned into 12 tracks. And I found a label that was really keen to release it. It was a concept album, I guess, as well. And so Stubble Man was born like that, and the second album, which has just been out now a month, is called 14643, the Ventoux trilogy, and it's called 14643 because it lasts exactly an hour, 46 minutes and 43 seconds, which is my best time cycling up the Mont Ventoux, which is a legendary cycling mountain here in France, and it's actually in the Tour de France this year. And it's an incredible mountain. I've cycled loads of cycling mountains all over Europe. Galibier, Tourmalet, lots of really big ones like this one. But this one stands in the plain of Provence here, and then you've got the Ventoux kind of dominating it from everywhere, There's something really magical and mythical about it. And I wanted to reflect my experience of climbing it while cycling, though, so my experience of the effort, but also the emotional content of of when you do an effort like that. It's really 2 hours of pain and introspection and memories and feelings that are very deep. You dig very deep when you do something like that. And so I wanted to capture that in music. And the difficulty was how to make it an hour, 46 minutes and 43 seconds of music and make it relevant to the cycling climb. And so what I did is, on a cycling computer that you have on board, a little bike computer, you have your heart rate, your moving speed, your cadence of pedaling, and the power, the percentage of power that you put onto the pedals. And I basically recorded those four sets of data and converted them into 4 musical sequences that were lasted an hour 46, 43 as the bass line, if you like, of the whole album. And then on top of that, I improvised on the piano, which you can see just about over there.
Yeah, on the right. Yeah, on the right. Yeah.
And came up with sections. It became obvious that certain pieces were going to be 4 minutes, and another piece was going to be 7, and another piece, and so the album was born in that way. That second album was born that way. So it's really data converted into musical feelings, and yeah, people really get it. It's great. I mean, I've had it's amazing, really, because I'm a big keen cyclist. I love cycling, road cycling. I've done for a long time now, and to marry my two loves, music that I've done for 45 years and cycling, which I've done forever, in an album, and having people like we've had the editor of Rouleur, who's a really fantastic English cycling magazine. Another guy from Pedal, which is a French equivalent, and we have like 6-page spread in both of them. Like they really got it. Ed, the editor of Rouleur, we had a Zoom like this when he first was approached about doing an article. He said, "I totally get it. By track 8, I've been up the Ventoux. I'm there. It transports me there. So it's kind of like music for airports, if you like, or music that takes you there. It takes you. Right. So the cycling community has really embraced it, and I'm so proud of it. It's brilliant. I'm so pleased.
Do you send the music to the organizer of the tour? Of course, I'm a big time cycle. No, a cyclist myself, but I watch a lot of the cycle. I mean, right. Every evening I spend 2-3 hours watching the Tour de France.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah.
Oh no, I know who. I mean, Pogacar is on another level together.
I know
those two guys are, but But
Pogacar is unbeatable this year. It looks like, we'll see. It's not over yet.
He did that well yesterday, but he will win at the end. I mean,
I think he will.
The guy is unbelievable. It's another. I hope they are not doing anything stupid or drugs or stuff like that. You know what happened with Lance Armstrong, right?
Of course, yeah. I mean, no, we'll see. I think Podge is clean. I hope.
I hope so. Now it's a lot harder because they need with blood sample and
exactly.
They track over time, so you level this to compete next year like that or that. Yeah,
and they got a biological passport, haven't they?
That's right, biological passport. Did you send the music to the organizer of the Tour de France?
The record label might have done. The record label might have done, but I didn't. No, I don't. I mean, the comms generally is a record label. Pias does that, and Cram Disc does that. I don't know.
I would have done it.
I hope they've done it. Yeah, I hope they've done it. There might be I mean, I don't want to speak too soon, but there might be a thing on a British television channel, but I can't tell you what yet.
All right, so it's coming.
Yeah, I hope so. Touch wood.
Yeah, and is it nowadays is easier or harder for you to get a record label when you for any particular new project that you work in?
I think it's always been hard. You've got to be
really.
I mean, yeah, it's always been hard. It's never been easy. Even when I was really doing well, it's difficult. Especially I think these days The main difficulty these days is that you need to have what they call the numbers, So they look at basically your number of followers on Strava, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Spotify, and if you have a big amount of followers, then they maybe look at you. If you have a few thousands, it's nothing. You need to have it easily in the at least 20, 30, 40, 50,000 before they even look. They won't even listen, which is a shame, I think, because they don't do development anymore. They basically expose what's already a little bit exposed. As some exposure. So yeah, my advice to young artists is don't bother, do it yourself.
Yeah, would you have done yourself if the record label would say no, you've been another two record label?
I haven't. I mean, this is Stubble Man is signed to a label. It's a label that of someone who became a really good friend in Belgium called Cram Discs, and Marc Almond is the boss. Really great guy. And Sophia, his partner in the business, is great as well. They're a really good little label, and they have been partnered now with PS, which is Play It Again Sam, which is a big worldwide label. I'm kind of, I suppose, signed to PS France, and my contact there is Chloe Pilon, and she's great as well. She's really a great person. So they've been very supportive. They really get the idea. They really get the thing. I mean, let's face it. This isn't going to be the great pop hit, Stubble Man, for them. But they still really work hard at it and make it really, happen. They've been very supportive. It's great. I can't complain. It's very good.
Good for you. I listened to the whole album a couple of times this week, and of course, you call it one drive, 4-parameter, 18 composition. That the album is very, very good. Of course,
thank you.
You are smart. You say, well, I need to release it like a month before the Tour de France, so I can take advantage of the Tour de France cycling event. All over millions of people of the world are going to be either flying to France or watching on TV. But it's very good stuff, man.
Thank you. Well, it wasn't. I mean, it's true. Yeah, I'm very, very pleased that the tour. I mean, it was going to come out this year anyway. Yeah, but the fact that they announced the tour last year, October, I think November, and he was going to be the Ventoux was going to be on the tour this year, was like, yes. Of course it helps. Of course it has a lot. But the album would have come out this year regardless. So I'm very lucky. I've been nothing ventured, nothing gained. I had to have the album ready and done, to start with. And I can tell you an hour and 46 minutes of music is a lot of music. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's a double album plus, a normal single album is like 40 minutes, 45 minutes max. This is like over that, it's another hour and 15 minutes on top of that. So it's a lot. It's a lot of music,
Go ahead.
I mean, I've enjoyed it. But it took a long time. It took a long time to do. It took about 3 years on and off,
To make it. Are you doing okay in terms of sales via Bandcamp?
Not bad. Yeah, it's early days. It's only just started, really. I mean, it's not the kind of album that's going to go like right straight to the top of the chart. It's going to bubble, and then we're going to have a bit of exposure, and then it's going to bubble here, and then it's going to bubble there. It's slow. It's slow, but it's kind of, the first album was like that, but we ended up still having on a couple of tracks, 1.5 million play on Spotify. It's not bad. It's okay. I mean, I'm just really happy to contribute to the great goods of the world. It's
good for you, man.
I'm not really looking for sales. I said to Pippa, my wife, before I even started this Stubble Man project, I said, if I get 500 people saying I really love this, I'll be really happy. So to have way more than that now, I'm totally satisfied. As I said earlier, success is not about the result of sales or anything like that. Success is like the journey, getting there, getting it out. Just a few people going, oh, this is brilliant, it transports me there, or that's enough. That's, to me, that's enough.
The journey being more important than the destination, so
absolutely, totally, 100%.
Also,
it's always been like that for me. I like the fun of creating in the studio. That's it. The rest of it, yeah, it's great when it's a hit. Of course, it pays for the electricity to power all this.
Yeah, sure.
But other than that, it makes me feel good, because, of course, to know that I put pleasure in other people's lives, that's really great satisfaction. But even if it was just 500 people, I'd be very happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Now they're talking about Pogacar and Vinegar. This guy can be going back and forth, 1 and 2 for the last 4 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, they want to. Each one of them, they want to win the Tour de France this year. But how many hours of preparation they go there?
Of course.
5 hours a day on the bike and eating well and going to bed early and the family, and of course they get paid very good money. But because cycling has a bad reputation, everybody with doping and using this or EPA and this and that, and they
Yeah,
want it to be
completely.
clear. People making stories about you, and it's hard for this cycling. It's very difficult to be a normal person when
Yeah, I
you
mean,
are at that level.
people forget about the sacrifices, don't they, of the great sport.
Yeah,
I mean, and not just them, but the people that finish 10th or 9th or 12th that we don't even
yeah,
know who they are, and the great public certainly doesn't know who they are, and they're only like 4 minutes behind or 5 minutes behind by the end of the tour. They've
yeah.
been cycling for 3 weeks, the hell like leather, like super fast, and they finished 14th, and they've got only 4 minutes 30 down.
That's
It's like
my God, man.
it's like
Or, or, or,
everybody.
or or the
It
or
must
the
be
guy
difficult.
who in day what was it day one, no, day two, that he fall and he abandoned the Tour de France.
Oh, yeah, Jorgensen. Yeah,
Jog,
Philipsen. Was it Jorgensen? Philipsen or Jorgensen? I can't
uh,
remember.
I think it's Philipson, and I
Okay,
think
Philipsen. Yeah.
and then he prepared the whole year, and then two guys in the
No,
middle, boom,
I
and you're
know.
done.
But at least he had the yellow for a day, so there's a consolation in that.
A
But
consolation.
still, but you're right. I mean, he sacrifices everything for this thing, and then a fall, and that's it. You're out, finished.
I cannot. I
He must be
cannot.
heartbroken. Yeah, he has all my sympathy. It's just.
Yeah. Pascal, feel free to mention where users of the or listen viewer of this podcast can buy your music and get a hold of you. Mention your website, your
I
Bandcamp.
will, yeah. I will post it and I will put a link to it. Once you send me the link to the finished thing,
Yeah, we can.
I will
Yeah,
do that, and it'd be a great
copy.
pleasure to do that. And I will put a link on my website as well.
Yeah,
That'd be
Pascal was very nice talking to you. I'm quite sure we'll do a follow up of another interview because we have a lot of questions to
yeah, a
ask
lot
you.
to. There's a lot we haven't covered yet as well.
Oh, yeah. If I'm in Provence, I would like to visit, if you don't mind, visit you or take you out to dinner because I wanna see exactly how you put everything together.
Oh,
When
yeah. I'd be very happy to. If you
from
come
your
to
studio,
Provence,
show me here's a sample. Here we started. I added this. I did it art. Blah
a
blah
great
blah.
pleasure because
I
it's
want to
all
know the
there.
process.
It's all there.
But this key, the
Yeah,
brain.
well, there was a little bit in there. Quand même.
Yeah.
After all.
Pascal, thank you very much for your time. I know you're busy, man. I'm looking forward to meeting you and see you one day. And I'm
It's
going to
been a
be
great
having.
pleasure, Claudio.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, monsieur.
Take good care. Yeah, à bientôt. Ciao.
Ciao.